Hey guys, it's me again, Eric here at Mountaintop 9, and tonight I want to talk about the Samhain release from 1986, November Coming Fire. Now for me, this album is one of Danzig's masterpieces as far as I'm concerned. It's right up there with Danzig 4 and Lucifuge, you know, stuff like that that is just extremely strong from top to bottom, where everything just gels and goes just perfectly. The atmosphere on this album is second to none. It just weaves such a great spell around the listener's mind. Now, before we get into the track by track, I do want to talk real quick about that album cover because it's just so iconic. I love the way those skeletons are just standing there and you have the flames as the backdrop. It's just so perfect. I mean, when you look at that album cover, you can instantly like hear the sounds of Mother of Mercy and stuff like that in your mind. And you got the horned demon mascot dude standing there in the middle. And you know, when I first saw that album cover as a kid, there's no words for the impression it made upon me. It just really, I was like, I've got to hear that album. So anyway, without any further rambling, let's get right into the album track by track. This album kicks off with an instrumental piece called Diabolos 88. Now, the drums in this one are the upfront driving force, but there's also many other elements in this song that make it work. It's like an onion, and there's plenty of evil layers to peel away at. There's that Samhain style, gritty, death rock guitar that's nice and hazy sounding, and of course it just permeates everything, but you've also got this low-pitched choir effect that kind of drifts in and out. There's these tastefully implemented keyboard notes that somewhat sound like tolling bells, and they're kind of, you know, they fit really well in that hazy sound. Also, there's these demonic, like, grunting intonations that are mixed in there too, and when those are combined with the drums, it really gives you images of like stampeding demons and hellfire. Fits very well with the album cover. It really complements it. The two go well together. If you're listening to this while you're looking at that album cover, well, jeez, it's just great. Fits very fucking well. And overall, this piece just brings many images to mind. You know, you can just picture, you know, some kind of moonlit ritual going on with black-robed characters and bonfire. It just goes so well with the whole Samhain thing. You don't even need words to something like this because the atmosphere is so good. Now, it's not seductively creepy like Night Chill from Final Descent. You know, that one's a little bit more laid back as it weaves its spell. This one's more chaotic and it's swirling, and it just gets the album started off on a very menacing note. Alright, track 2 is when things really start to bleed. This song is called In My Grip, and it's a vicious punch to the face, kick to the skull, basically the musical equivalent of blunt force trauma. And because the production is so thick and reverb laden, it just really adds so much mystery to the sound because the instruments, everything is just so shrouded in that sound, in that murky darkness. So everything comes out being so much more cryptic. What I really love about this song is, first of all, those drums are very galloping and upfront, but it's the guitar tone and the riff that really gets my attention. There's something so special about the tone and riff on this one. First of all, the tone, those high notes, you know, of that main riff. You know, if I had to describe the tone of that riff, okay, in words, I describe it as some kind of glowing orb, and it's just filled with hatred and malice. It's just very violent sounding. And the way that riff careens back and forth, it's like a razor blade slicing up a body. I mean, it's just very violent sounding. And then when you get to the lyrics, Danzig in this song, he's belting out these lines. Now, they're very, apocalyptic and violent, but they also seem very sexual in nature. It seems like sex and death are intrinsically linked in this song, and you can extrapolate what I'm saying when you actually read these lyrics, just certain lines, you know, like oozing into that thing and hold tight, it comes. and it seethes, all of this stuff. It's just very sensual type words. I think really what this song is about is sex, and it's about this feeling of power. So that is very much what I get from this song. You know, it just shows a further maturing process with his lyric writing, because he wasn't writing like stupid stuff. These lyrics are very, for me, they're ambiguous and they're vague, and you can take a lot of different things from them. You know, when he sings that line, "In the world it dies, in my grip," it just seems, because of the lead-up lyrics, it seems like he's singing about some kind of sexual encounter. It's like he's singing about being on a different plane of being, and it's just kind of a transcendent type of thing. And there's just so many ways you can interpret these words. Also, once again, I have to point out one more time, that guitar tone there, it's just so alien and unorthodox. It's just so weird and jarring. And that's what makes the music on this album seem so original, you know? Even today, it just sounds so great. I've heard people complain about the production on Samhain albums, you know, about the murky sound and everything, the low quality sound. But for me, I think it sounds really good and adds so much to the atmosphere. I don't understand what people are talking about. You know, on newer Danzig albums, I really feel like there's some serious production problems on those. You know, Skeletons, and the newest one, Black Laden Crown, I'm not a big fan of the production on either one of those albums. You know, they're kind of low quality in certain aspects, but in a bad way, not in a good way that enhances the songs. The production on this album, November Coming Fire, enhances the album. It just makes it into this breathing, evil life force. And yeah, so In My Grip, great opening track. Mother of Mercy is track 3, and as far as I'm concerned, this is the best anthem type song in the Samhain catalog. That chorus is just so damn catchy that anyone can get into it. Someone could go to a Samhain concert, like if they reformed tomorrow and, you know, did a reunion show, and if they had never heard this song, they could still get into it right away. You know, it's not a cryptic song like In My Grip, where it would seem kind of jarring and offbeat at first. No, this song is catchy, you know. It's catchy in the sense that the Misfits were super catchy, so very easy to get into. Now, the lyrics in this one are, once again, just like the first song, they're about sex. And in this one, I think it's much more overt. I mean, you can just see it. But instead of being linked with death, it seems to be linked more with this sense of repression and being stifled, with it being a sinful act. Because, you know, he's saying things in this song like, "I've been told not to stand erect." And then that chorus, though, the chorus of "We all want our time in hell," it just seems to be like this release from those shackles, like being free of like being stifled and having boundaries put upon you. So that's the kind of thing. It's the typical Danzig rebellion type of song, and that's what you really get from that chorus, "We all want our time in hell." This is just a very cool song. You know, it's got that same sound that we have all throughout this album. Very hazy, very foggy, and just dark and cryptic. But I'll tell you what, Danzig just really sounds great on the vocals on this track. And yeah, Mother of Mercy is a Samhain classic. Track 4 is called Birthright, and to me, this song is the musical equivalent of a baked potato side dish. And what I mean by that is, if Mother of Mercy was the nice juicy steak or a nice piece of chicken with portobello mushrooms, well, this song is the loaded baked potato. It's just a nice companion to it, you know, and the off-kilter vocal delivery, the dashings of horror movie type keyboard work, and the unorthodox drum pattern. To me, that's just like dashes of sour cream, some shredded cheese, and some nice sprinklings of bacon bits. This song is not as good as the main course, but it's a nice, worthwhile companion. When you listen to this album, November Coming Fire, I doubt that anyone ever really puts this album on and goes, "I need to listen to Birthright. That's the song I want to hear right now." No, that's not what they fucking do. You put this album on and you listen to it all the way through, and this one works within the general framework of the whole thing. It just is a nice little piece that's put in there just in the right spot to just keep you off your guard, because this song just further embellishes that nice, weird, bizarre atmosphere that only Samhain could create. And now we've arrived at a song called To Walk the Night. Now this one is a morbidly romantic stroll down a leaf-covered, lonesome lover's lane of death. And the tempo, it's so slow and seductive with a nice lurching riff that really rings out with dissonance and decay. However, the most important thing to this song is Glenn Danzig's vocal performance, because this song really hinges on his vocals. And the words here, they just paint such a bleak image of isolation and loneliness. It's kind of depressing, but at the same time, it's very beautiful. The overall magic that these words create in your mind and the way that Danzig delivers them. I mean, you get this idea in your head that it could be about some immortal being, like a vampire type thing, where it's someone who is cursed to just walk alone every night, you know, and they never die. It just goes on and on. So that sense of loneliness never goes away, and there's no companionship for that person. So they're just left alone, and there's just this emptiness inside. That's the sense you get from this. It's just such a hopeless idea. But the words are ambiguous enough that you could also apply it, and you could say that it's about a mentally confused, you know, person, just a regular person that's lonely. So it speaks on both planes in my mind. It could be about a vampire type thing, or it could be just about, like, if you've ever seen the movie Martin. Well, there's a horror movie by George Romero that George Romero directed in the 70s, and it's called Martin, and it's about this dude, and he thinks he's a vampire, and he just leads this really lonely, fucked up existence, and it's kind of a depressing, downbeat movie. Well, a song like this, you know, it gives me images of that movie too. So this is just a one-of-a-kind song. And when I say one-of-a-kind, it really is. This is a standout song in the Samhain catalog. There's really no other song like it. Just a beautiful piece for sure. And I have great memories of seeing this song performed live at the Samhain reunion show I saw in 1999. Because let me tell you, just seeing it live and seeing the band perform this song drenched in blood, it just brought such a great dynamic to it, and just, man, I was awe-inspired. So yeah, To Walk the Night, you can't pass this one up. Creeping out of the desolate nightscape of the previous song, track 6 sends you headlong into a war-ravaged, apocalyptic world. The song is called Let the Day Begin. And let me tell you, this song is really, I mean, it just seems like real-life horror. You know, it's just, like I said, very apocalyptic. It paints images in your head of mushroom clouds and nuclear fallout and just mass carnage. And Danzig was really going for it here, both musically and lyrically. The music to this is very pounding, it's aggressive and in your face. It very much fits the tone of the lyrics. And yeah, I mean, there are words in this song, like the part where he says, you know, let them get their due, let them feel the pain that they gave to you. It's just filled with anger and everything, and just Danzig's vocal performance takes that to another level. It's just a very convincing song. You can just feel a seething rage exploding out of this song. And that rage, it just feels so much more real, and it feels really raw and immediate, as opposed to like a song from, you know, the Misfits catalog, you know, a song like Astro Zombies. He's singing stuff like Prime Directive, Exterminate the Whole Human Race, you know, stuff like that. But it seemed slightly more tongue-in-cheek because of just the overall tone of that song has this kind of upbeat, joyous kind of feel to it. So that's kind of the dichotomy of that song, where you have those kind of dark lyrics, but the overall feel of it was catchy and kind of uplifting. It felt fun. Well, on a song like this, on Let the Day Begin, it's the Samhain mood, you know. This is darkness. The music matches the words that are coming forth. Let the Day Begin, this is just classic Samhain. Once again, standout track. You can't go wrong here. Halloween 2 is track 7 on this album, and do you want me to give you a one-word review for this song? Wow. There, that would be my one-word review, but if you want me to go more in depth, I will. First of all, this is just so radically different than the Misfits version of the song. This one just crushes everything in its path. What I love about this is the heavy riff. It is just so blunt, and it just has that evil ringing dissonance to it. You know, Damien does some nice squeals on the guitar that just, you know, they add a nice ambience, and because of the production, because of all that reverb and the cryptic haze over the whole thing, it's just so evil. It's just so sinister sounding. But where this song really launches into the stratosphere is during the awe-inspiring chorus. You know, Danzig laid down multiple tracks for this chorus part, and the way they overlap with each other is a work of pure brilliance. It's just a one-of-a-kind vocal performance from him, and it's so catchy. You can't help but sing along to this song. Overall, just the atmosphere of it. It feels like Halloween when you listen to this. It really feels like the leaves falling off the trees. You get that cold feeling. You know, the guitar tone on here, you know, I've come to realize that the reason that it feels so much like autumn, the guitar tone on this album, is because it feels very cold. You know, just the electric nature of it. It just kind of has this brisk feeling to it. So it just sends chills up and down your spine. And yeah, it just smashes the Misfits version of this song. This version just takes it to a whole new realm of greatness. And also, you know, I've seen where people say that certain stuff, you know, has metal stylings. Some of Samhain stuff, they'd say, has like dark metal stylings and all of that. This is one of those songs where you can certainly get that. You know, it's not metal in the traditional sense, but it's a Samhain type of metal. Halloween 2 is just another great ingredient on this album, and it just rams the idea of autumn and fall and all of that stuff home. It's just a phenomenal song, and words can't do it justice. Track 8 is called November's Fire, and I'll tell you what, this is a perfect follow-up song to Halloween 2 because it carries on that nice, icy, late October, early November type of atmosphere, that brisk feeling of an autumn breeze. And the lyrics in here, they're very vivid, you know, stuff like knee-deep, the blood of swine, and you know when he says, embrace the night air, summer's end, heaven sent. I mean, that's just great imagery. This is the type of Samhain song that really just took some nice 80s gothic elements and just milked them for maximum effect, you know, creating something totally unique to the band. This song isn't a standout type of track. This isn't one that you'd want to put on to introduce someone to the Samhain sound. You know, you would want to put on something like Mother of Mercy or Let the Day Begin or Halloween 2. Those would be better introductions to someone as a way of getting someone into Samhain. No, this song is more of a deep album cut. It's one that works within the greater framework of the album, just like Birthright does, but the difference here is that this song is a lot better than Birthright. Yeah, vivid imagery, great sound. This song just feels like Halloween, and it's such an important part of the overall album. Track 9 is a pounding piece of audio violence called Kiss of Steel. Now this song is very straight ahead. In fact, I'd say it's the most immediate and straight ahead song on the album. You know, I could picture this song having been written around the time that Danzig was writing the songs for Earth AD. It just has kind of a Misfits type of quality to it. Lyrically, the song is about car crashes and the resulting carnage that goes along with that. And that type of dark, morbid theme, it certainly fits in well with the rest of the album. You know, it goes along with that pervasive sense of darkness that's present over this whole piece of work. So, you know, yeah, I mean, this is one you'd want to put on, and you know, it's kind of catchy. There's not a whole lot to say about it because there's not a lot to dig at in this one, you know. It's pretty upfront with the lyrics. There's nothing kind of hidden that you can kind of read between the lines, but it is a good, straight-ahead, rocking Samhain song, and even the way the guitars sound in this, it kind of sounds like they are trying to go for the sound of like cars racing down the street or something. You do get this nice reckless feeling from this song. It really does feel chaotic and reckless and frantic. So overall, yeah, man, you can put this one on and get into this song right away. Just in your face aggression. Next up is Unbridled. And you know how earlier I compared Birthright and I said, you know, I described it as being like the loaded baked potato for the album, you know, like a tasty little side dish, but not as good as the main course. Well, this song is just like that. So if Birthright was the baked potato, then this song is the nice homemade roll with melted butter on it, or maybe some green bean casserole. You know, this song, it has a nice atmosphere, just like everything else on this album. And you know, there's plenty of horse imagery on here. You really do feel like the music does a good job of conveying the idea of stampeding horses. You know, you can just feel the hooves trampling all around you, kicking up dust. And so it does a good job in that respect. The music does certainly go well with the lyrics. And, you know, just the drums, as usual for Samhain, they're very off-kilter, very unorthodox, just weird. You know, there's some nice deep grunts on here. You know, there's demonic grunts that are kind of mixed in on this album in different places. And yeah, so this song, it's a good one. But true greatness lies straight ahead. Now, my friends, we've arrived at the final piece of this dark masterwork, and it's a song called Human Pony Girl. Now, the entrancing, hypnotic effect of this song cannot be overstated. The hazy guitars on this, okay, they create that nice sound, that nice dark mist that just shrouds everything, of course. We've got that, but then we've got Danzig on the drums on this one. London May didn't do the drums on this track. Danzig did them himself, and they just pound out this repetitive beat that just hammers right into your brain. And then also the bass line in this, the way it kind of ebbs and flows and pulsates, it really drives home the sexualized lyrics of the song. It goes very well with the words that Danzig is saying, you know, and the words, I mean, they're just great. These are some of the greatest lyrics that Danzig ever wrote, in my opinion. You know, just the one line, "Your nights are a season at my command." That is one of the greatest lines ever written in a song, as far as I'm concerned. It's one of my favorites. It's just a great fucking line. And, you know, the way Danzig belts out that line towards the end of the track with such passion. When I listen to this song, you know, this song's very dark and very oppressive and hypnotic, but it's kind of a good companion piece to the Deep Purple song Knocking at Your Back Door from the Perfect Strangers album. I just associate these two songs together for some reason. I don't know. You look at the words and kind of compare them. I mean, one's way more upbeat and kind of a rocking type song, a traditional hard rock, and this one is just laying down in a dark, murky crypt somewhere, you know, but still, there's some connective tissue there. I kind of, for some reason, I just have Human Pony Girl and Knocking at Your Back Door. I have the two songs linked in my brain, which is kind of interesting. But anyway, another thing I want to point out about this song, because we've talked about the hypnotic atmosphere of it, the effect that it gives you, the listener, as you listen to it, because it's very repetitive, and that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to just kind of keep going at a nice steady pace. But this song also brings to mind, like, you know, that whole image that Danzig was trying to present at the time with Samhain, where he'd have on like the weird leather mask and stuff like that. And then it's funny because later on in the late 90s there was this Nicolas Cage movie called 8mm, and there was a character in that named Machine, and he, you know, had the leather getup. And what's funny is he had a Danzig poster on his wall in that movie. And you know, the character in that movie is very dark and mysterious. Well, in this song, that kind of is the vibe that you get from Danzig as he's singing. He's singing like this dark, mysterious guy wearing that leather mask that he would come on stage with, and just trying to beckon, you know, someone to go to a place they've never been before. Just the way he's singing there at the end, just going full tilt. You know, there is no limit. Your nights are a season at my command. It's just greatness. So yeah, man, that's about all I have to say for November Coming Fire. I hope you enjoyed this video. I mean, it's just an album that, like I said, it just feels like fall. You know, whenever I think of Halloween, I think of this album. First and foremost, before I think of Initium or Unholy Passion or Final Descent, you know, November Coming Fire is just the perfect album in the Samhain catalog. It really is. It's just a perfect album. So yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments section what your favorite Samhain song on this album is. You know, what pieces of this album are most important to you, and you know, how does this album make you feel? Because like I said, there just isn't anything else like this album. It's really one of a kind and unique. So guess what, guys? I'll see you again next time.